that these diseases can have on our families. And they touch everybody. They touch politicians that turn music people, and they touch everybody. So it's really great you're here tonight, but it's really more important that you're helping people in the community. Even a little bit is vital. It goes a long way. Well, I said the band was generous with their time, but there's nobody more generous than my good friend Scott Rigell. Many of you have known him. He's supported this ministry for years and many other ministries, and he's a great entrepreneur. But he has really probably for us done one of the most amazing things in the area of generosity, and that's his willingness to serve, just like you do. You serve this city, you serve our town, you serve the community, you serve in your churches, your community organizations. I mean, met tonight so many people that are related in the community to the framework that really is that 1,000 points of light that holds us all together. But Scott's made the kind of ultimate sacrifice, even though he wouldn't say it's a sacrifice. He'd say it's just, he's one American just trying to help out. But he's changed his whole life, and he's up in Washington fighting for us, fighting for our area, and fighting for America. And he'll talk about that in a second. So I want to introduce my friend. I've known him for 20 years. I've been in town here. Representative Scott Rigell.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Jeff, thank you for the kind introduction. It really is it's a real honor for me to be on stage with you. Really, principally in your role as a Guava Jam member. And, you know, we should, for those of you who may have been out in the hallway, it would be, I think, really appropriate if we took just a moment to recognize and thank Guava Jam. They're here on their own time. I had the privilege of playing with them for a couple of years before got busy doing something else. But it's a great joy to be here with them and to play the song with them. So you'll hear them later in the evening. But let's thank them because they're here as an act of service in support of Paul and Susie and recovery for the city. So please give it up for Guava Jam! Hey! As Jeff exits, maybe I can challenge him to a 10-to-1 McWaters match here for all giving tonight, and we'll see about all that. Thank you all so much for being here tonight and for standing with Paul and supporting recovery for the city. It really a wonderful organization that has touched hundreds of families and literally thousands of lives throughout our community and really across America as these folks have moved and gone on. And where is Dr. Paul Hardy? I want to make
Paul,
sure.
raise your hand.
I want to
right here, baby.
I want to just face you and look at you and thank you and just share a few things with you that you wouldn't say to others, but I can because we're dear friends. And I want to thank you first of all for having me out of this casual event. It's so good to get the blue jeans and this shirt, and I really appreciate that. And it's a joy and really an honor for Terry and me to be here tonight. And I appreciate you asking me to share a few words in celebration in support of recovery for the city, and respect the work that you are doing and that Susie is doing, and your love and really deep commitment for others. You know, Jeff described his own personal journey, and I suspect that if we gave it just a minute's worth of thought, that if you just looked at our own lives and said, have we been affected either directly or indirectly by addiction in one way or the other, or a family member or ourselves or anything else? I'd be stunned if not everyone, you know, raised an arm, you know, just to say yes, in some way we too have been affected. And you know, we know the world is hurting. We don't have to go far, even out of our own neighborhoods, sometimes or even our own home, to know that there's just a whole lot of need out there. And I don't know about you, but as I have kind of worked through that as an adult and as a person of faith, and I would always think, well, you know, there's so much need out there. It's just beyond anything I can do. I could bankrupt our company. I could give, you know, 70 hours a week to, and I just don't think I'd be a drop of help in a big ocean of need. But what I've come to a conclusion, and a very peaceful one, and this was some years ago. I've just felt like God in His providence will put people in your life that you are indeed to stand with and to support, and you don't really even have to look for those good folks. They just cross your path. And I have been blessed, and it's a real joy and privilege in my life that Dr. Paul Hardy has come into my life, and the blessing that he's been to Terry and to me and to our church. And So I think that's part of it. I don't think it's an accident that you're here tonight. I don't think it's an accident that you're part of his life, either directly or indirectly, and the wonderful work that he's doing. He is indeed the heart and the soul of Recovery for the City, and I really do know Paul. I know him well. And he's not motivated by material things. He's not motivated by cars, sadly. He's not motivated by money. He's not motivated by recognition from other men and women. He is motivated by a deep desire, and a consistent one that has been with him for all of his adult life, to reach out and help those who oftentimes just kind of fall off the radar screen. They're hurting and they're struggling around us. And, sometimes society's just moving along quickly and saying, hey, I don't have too much time for that. I got to get on with things. Paul is saying, hey, wait a minute. What about John over here? We're losing him. What about Susan? What about Julie? We got to come on. They got to all make it. They all have to cross the finish line. And Paul never lose that sensitivity to others and that calling. So in his work, he's built a monument not to himself, but he's built a legacy, really, of those that he's ministered to, those that he's helped, those who are now not only recovered or recovering from addiction, but are now helping others and are productive. So I'm proud to call you my friend, Paul. And yeah, let's in a group this large, it's entirely possible, in fact likely, that some of you may not know all that much about Recovery for the City, so I'm going to give you my perspective as just a good friend of Paul, and having been to the organization, having spent quite a bit of time with Paul. This is the 4th annual Life Changers Banquet, and tonight we are here to do a couple of things. We certainly want to support the good work that's being done, but this is a really neat time to recognize, acknowledge, and support and stand with those who are in recovery. This is between Recovery for the City and some of the other recovery addiction programs that you might have heard of. Is that addiction takes many forms. Principally, we're more familiar with this, it's drugs and alcohol, but it takes, as I've worked and listened and spent time with Paul, it takes other forms as well. Codependency, sexual addiction, and just others, anger management. There's just a range of things that folks struggle with, and Paul, in the wisdom and in the gifting that he's had, the professional training that he's had, he's able to minister and to work with and help, along with his team, a full range of folks. And when we met the other day, I asked him, I said, Paul, I want to make sure that I do right. This is I take this very seriously, this opportunity to share with some folks about this organization that I love. And I asked him to share with me some statistics about addiction, and he did. And there's a bunch of them, but I gleaned from that just a few that I want to share with you that really caught my attention. 1 in 4 families across our country, certainly including Hampton Roads here, struggle. One family member will struggle with some form of addiction. 22 million Americans have some type of dependency, a challenge in their life, and sadly, and I think this is something that Paul is really dialed in on, and rightfully so. 8.3 million children are in the home or in a relationship with, a child-adult relationship with an adult who is struggling with one form or another of addiction. And Paul, I commend you in Recovery for the City for really going directly at that and ministering to these children. It's troubling, of course, and again, you think, oh, 8.3 million, how do we no, you know what, we can't help every one of them. We can't in this room. We are called to help the ones who are here close to us that we know of and we can reach out and get to. So that's what we're doing here in our own hometown with Recovery for the City. And what he's doing is he gives them a chance through counseling and through working with others, an opportunity to experience a childhood that they should, one that's free of the profound challenges of living with a parent or an adult in their life who's struggling with addiction. And just this past Tuesday night, about 100 folks were there at the Recovery for Life, and they fed 100 people and then walked them through the 12-step program, and then also broke it into small groups and walked through the very practical ways that the folks need to to make part of their daily life so that they can meet head-on the challenge of working through an addiction. And the program really works by helping folks to take very small steps each and every... Paul, is he walking up here? Does that mean I'm over? No. Okay. Usually that means I've talked too long. You know, I've learned in my short time up in Washington, I digress just a minute here, that the shorter one speaks, the louder the applause. So I will try to make... I'm about to finish, Paul. Anyway, but it's a very practical process that folks go through at recovery that allows them to really get a handle on the addiction that they're struggling with. And we've recognized, and rightfully so, those tonight who are working through, and some have fully recovered, some are recovering and gone through that process. And I'd say, as I see it, it's with determined effort. I think we are to put forth determined effort, but indeed the other component that is wisely integrated in this is the prayer and the recognition of God's providence and His hand upon the lives of those who are going through the program. And I'm honored to celebrate tonight with you the progress that you're making. And as we close tonight, I want to leave you with this, with a very powerful video. Don't hit it quite yet, though. That tells the story of Recovery for Life and how it reaches and ministers to children. You know, I love, if I've heard this sermon once, I probably have heard it at least 10 times in my adult lifetime. And a pastor will wisely say, he'll say, "You can tell me all day what you believe. Show me your calendar and show me your checkbook." That's when you really find out what somebody or someone really believes. Now, I can tell you that by your presence tonight, I know your calendar's in good shape. I have no idea what's going on in your pocketbook or your wallet, but I know this, that like Terry and me, God has put in your life a good man and a good woman, and Susie, a wonderful organization. You know an organization by its fruits, not so much by what is said, by the fruits. And as I've seen and talked with others who have gone through or going through the program that Paul has put forth, I feel confident, that when we've written a check, and we do so with a glad heart, knowing that it's going to benefit folks, many of whom I'll never meet. That's okay, because I know God's looking out for them, and I know our money is being wisely invested. So, in closing, I just respectfully ask that you stand with Terry and me and so many others, and I know you're already here tonight. Stand with us in supporting this ministry. Give generously. It'll feel good when you do, and that check will clear, and it'll be put to good use. Thank you so much for being here tonight. May God bless this wonderful ministry. Thank you.